Top of the top is bottom to the top hoops. It's E. Jones.
Like Elvis, you already know we in the building.
Yes, sir, man. We back with the first official podcast of the new year. Well, second of the new year, but you know, we're excited, man. As we do all of our shows, obviously we got a shout out to the sponsors. L, who we shouting out, brother?
T-Mobile. Shout out to T-Mobile.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Fine Food Cuisine, best takeout in the Bronx. Check them out, Morris Park Avenue. Big shout out to Chef Al and Slice, man, always giving us love and support. Man, I had that macaroni and cheese and that good barbecue salmon over there, man. That thing is popping, Al. You heard me?
Sure, for sure.
Yo, get over there ASAP, man. I was just over there the other day. Yo, they get it done, man. They get it done.
Now they getting it done.
Great prices too. We also shouting out MMCC, and we shouting out the world famous Harlem Wizards. Big shout out to Todd Davis, man. Always showing us love and support. World famous Harlem Wizards around since 1962. Check out the new program, the WizFit Challenge, guaranteed to keep your kids active and help your kids raise money for their schools in a virtual space. Very, very dynamic program, unique. Check it out, harlemwizards.com. Now,
yes, sir.
L, got a good feedback from our last show, brother.
Oh, yeah, big time.
But not everybody agrees with us all the time, man.
I do notice that.
What was the feedback you got on the last show, bro?
It's not that anybody was saying we wasn't on point. It was just like they was adding to the list and they were saying 5 wasn't enough.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I didn't knock it, but at the end of the day, top 5 is top 5. You understand? And just because your coach might have got you a chip doesn't mean he deserves to be on the list. He's been influential in your life. Some of these coaches we said have been influential over children's lives. I mean, multiple kids getting Division I scholarships.
But let's talk about this, man, the impact that they've had on the city. I'm going to just go to a point that you made about Gary DeCesar. He influenced you to want to go to Catholic school.
Facts.
So that kind of impact is huge, especially from a kid who was in public school all your life. And because of one experience that you had at a culture that he created, he shifted you, and that could have changed your life, essentially. So you're talking about coaches who change lives based on creating a culture, a program, a team, and a tradition. That's huge. That's why we talk about a list and how we separate, you know, whether you guys know it or not, we spend a lot of time researching and mulling over who should be on these lists. It's not just our feelings. You know, we talk to people that we trust, who have a good working knowledge of the history of the game in New York City, and we pair it with our own knowledge and what we think, and we try to come up with the best comprehensive list that's going to represent the best of what New York City has to offer in these respective topics that we bring up. So, what we talking about today, Hal?
Oh man, it's going down. Top 5 street ballers of all time.
That have never made it to the NBA.
That has never made it to the NBA. So we about to give them their flowers.
Who you going with first? Are you going to keep it in Harlem? Who you going with?
Let me see, man. Let's see. I gotta go Joe Hammond, the Destroyer, B.
So Joe Hammond gets a lot of love from us, man. We've talked about him on the show many a times, which is only right. Because we're talking New York City basketball, and he has to be in the conversation. So, what can you tell the people about Joe Hammond that they may not know?
Joe Hammond was a dog, man. He wasn't playing with you, man. He was like on it, like, don't let him get 2 buckets in a row. He's telling everybody, get out my way, and I'm going to do this 10 more times.
Yeah, that's a fact, Al. And I'm gonna speak a little bit about, how he played, and it's two stories that stick out to me when people talk about Joe Hammond. Joe Hammond was a multi-dimensional player. Joe Hammond was a great athlete and he played above the rim, and he was a very fluid player. He could handle the ball and get to spots, so he would be considered a slasher in today's game. Wasn't really flashy with the ball handling, but enough to get by his defender. He played hard and played with toughness. He came with that New York City grit. But the thing about Joe Hammond was that people talk about the most. He was a juggernaut offensively. He was just a scorer. And they talk about him coming in a half and scoring 50 on Dr. J. That's one of the stories that stands out about Joe Hammond. And they talk about the 3-year contract that he was offered by the Los Angeles Lakers that he turned down because, urban legend says that he was making more money in the street than he would have gotten from the Lakers. So he turned the Lakers down. So, I would love to just talk to Joe Hammond and get that story firsthand, but I've heard that story on more than 10 occasions, and it's been documented many times. So Joe Hammond is definitely on the list, top 5, Al.
Absolutely.
Who else we got?
Earl Manigault.
Woo-wee! Earl Manigault. Earl Manigault, originally from Charleston, South Carolina, came up to New York in his early adolescent years, went to Benjamin Franklin High School, where he was a standout player, notably got into some problems at the school, transferred to Laurinburg Prep in North Carolina, where he played for the legendary Gil Reynolds. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure about that. I don't want to speculate because I'm not sure if Gil Reynolds was coaching at that time, but I know he did play at Laurinburg Institute. The GOAT played at Johnson C. Smith and then eventually had to go home. He had some trouble with substance abuse, but just to talk about his game, the thing they talk about is like a double dip where he would jump and dunk the ball and catch it through the net and dunk it again before he hit the ground. So the GOAT again was GOAT Park on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, or West Side of Manhattan. Just a legend in Rucker Park and all around New York City. Gave out buckets, story career. The GOAT makes the top 5. Who else we got, L?
D-Mac.
I had a hard time about this one, L, because D-Mac is a personal favorite, and from Harlem, played at Texas A&M, big guard. He was the first one, L, before anybody else that I saw do the between the legs dunk. And he actually put it between his leg from behind his legs. D-Mac had a storied career over in Australia, where he was a legendary player and coach. And the thing about him was he was about 6'6", but he played the point.
Yeah.
One of the smoothest players to ever play at Rucker Park. He really was an unselfish player, but he could score it as well. The thing about D-Mac is that he wasn't a fantastic shooter. So I think that's what really held him back from getting to that NBA level. But D-Mac was a terror in Rucker Park. And he was actually playing on 139th Street at the EBC on Lenox Avenue before it moved to the Rucker Park. So he was one of the pioneers for Greg Marius to bring EBC into national prominence. So big shout out to D-Mac. He's still over there coaching in Australia. D-Mac's in consideration for the top 5.
In consideration. All right. What about Terminator? Ron Mathias.
Did you ever see the Terminator play, L?
Nah, I was too young.
L, you talk about a guy, you seen Homicide play.
Yes.
What would describe Homicide's game?
Very aggressive. Get buckets, can shoot it, can get to the bucket, you know what I mean, can dunk it. I mean, just overall good player.
But the thing that stood out about Homicide was his aggression.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was a dog.
Dog. He was a dog.
He wasn't going between his legs a lot, wasn't going behind his back a lot, although he could. You know, he dunked it when he had the opportunity. But the whole thing was mindset, coming at you. And that's who Ron Mathias was. Had a tryout with the Houston Rockets. And Rucker Park, think about his nickname. Like he would go, I might have seen Term go left maybe 5 times in my career. He would go hard right and people would try to cut him off. He would literally bump you out the way, pick up his dribble wherever he was, and he had this soft touch on a floater and he just won, right? And his backcourt mate, God bless, Pookie Wilson, they called him the MVP of the park, probably the best shooter in street ball history that I've seen. Like, he was just radar. So they were like frickin' frack. And I had the special honor of them being my big brothers because my dad coached them from the time they was 12 years old. So Ron Mathias and Pookie Wilson used to be in my crib and literally smacking me in the back of the head and teaching me how to play the game of basketball. So I have a special adoration for, you know, Ron Mathias. I'm putting them two together, man. Ron Mathias and Pookie Wilson. They a tag team for me. Who else we got?
All right, what about Richie Adams, the animal?
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention? All right.
Melrose Projects, you know, Ben Franklin High School, UNLV, one of the most fierce shot blockers to maybe between him and McNasty, those were the 2 best shot blockers that I saw in New York City street ball history. Richie Adams left.
That's Conrad, right?
Yeah, Conrad McNasty McCray.
Rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, man. Richie was left-handed. He was a beast. He would dunk it on you from anywhere. Soft turnaround jumper. Could handle it, right? At 6'9", a playmaker. You know, he's had his struggles, but you know he's on a comeback trail. Richie, man, whew, he's in consideration, but he wouldn't be top 5 for me.
Okay, got you. What about Big John Strickland?
Emotional pick.
I know.
Emotional pick. My brother, man. Rest in peace to John Strickland, man. I'm gonna say this, man. I would like to dedicate this show to John Strickland because Strick for me was somebody who I met later on in life. I'd seen him play, but we got close probably in my mid-20s. And he was just a fun-loving guy. And he was the one player who could play hard, be effective, and entertain like nobody else.
Absolutely.
I've never seen anyone talk to the crowd, talk to his coach, talk to the other team with a smile on his face and still kill you with a killer instinct. I've never seen it, Al. Have you seen Strick play?
Yeah.
What stood out to you about Strick?
How much fun he had while he played.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the sport. He understood it was entertainment. So he was a showman at the end of the day.
And he spent time with the Harlem Globetrotters. And I took him to Budapest, Hungary, and I took him to China with me. And I took him to Taiwan with me, with the Harlem Wizards, man. And a lot of people don't know that. And Strick later on in his career actually became a general manager for a professional team over in Canada. So that was his next step in his career.
Wow.
He wanted to get into management, man. So I'm gonna tell a quick John Strickland story if I could, Al.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were over in Budapest, Hungary, and it was we were playing against the national team. And this is towards the probably the prime of my career, which I would consider that I was a pretty solid player. We had some good players on our team, man, and I believe Speedy was playing with us, and Strick had I was a player coach, So Strick said, yo, E, don't take me out. I think we were playing 5 fouls, and he picked up like his fourth. And it was like maybe, I don't know, like 8 minutes left. So I'm playing and I'm coaching. And it was the weirdest thing ever. So I was like, yo, go get him. And he was like, yo, don't take me out. So we got into a full-blown argument on the court. I'm playing, and I'm coaching. I'm on the sideline, and he's coming off the court, and he's like arguing with me not to come out. And I'm like, you got to get off the court. And I wasn't using such, proper language, because anybody who knows me, when, all bets are off when I'm playing basketball. I'm a little bit of a madman. So
you just become a dog.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I won't give the long-winded side of it. So I took him out, and he's arguing with me, and eventually I had to sub myself in. And it was the end of the game, and we were both on the court. And he kept saying to me, if you want to win this game, you keep me out here. Like, I'm the reason. Give it to who got us here. And towards the end of the game, I hit a 3-pointer to seal the game. And I got to talking. I was just like, I'm the reason. I got us here. I told you, just do what I say.
Yeah.
So that was my Strick story, man. And obviously he was the linchpin of that team. But I had my moment, and I like to consider myself a clutch performer. So I knocked that down. On Bottom to the Top Hoops, man, I'll get that footage. And that was cool.
Yeah, let me ask you about, shout out to Kev, shout out to Elliot Finesse.
Yes, sir.
Pee Wee Kirkland. What do you feel about Pee Wee? Does he make the top 5?
Pee Wee's in consideration. Dynamic ball handler. Much is made about what Pee Wee did, obviously, in 2 games. So much has been said. Clips got that line, legend in 2 games, like I'm Pee Wee Kirkland, right? But Pee Wee was a hooper. Talked about how he scored 100 in the jail. How he came with mink coats to games and pulled up in Rolls Royces and would have his entourage of girls. But, as a ball player, Pee Wee was a prolific scorer, and he was a dog, and he was a great ball handler. And, Pee Wee could have gone on potentially to have a professional career. But like Joe Hammond, those guys were making so much money in their other careers that the NBA...
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just that the NBA wasn't paying a lot back then.
Right. So, paying a lot to them, though, L, right? Like to me and you, who was an everyday layperson, that was good money for us. But to a guy like Pee Wee Kirkland, who's making $1 million back then, like, that's peanuts. I'll go get love from Rucker Park and be a legend, and go wear my mink coats to the Roxy and to the Red Parrot or wherever.
Studio 54 and all of that.
Studio 54, right? Let's get to that. So, they probably was hanging out with Diana Ross and the Supremes and
believe that.
Motown and all that, man. They like, y'all want me to go play with Bob Pettit? Out of here, man. Later. But who else you got that you think she?
So now I'm gonna actually what about Speedy?
Well, I played with Speedy, and Speedy had that unique category to be able to talk and play and play to win. He accomplished a lot of things, man. Long career with the Harlem Wizards as a showman, New York City Pro-Am. Believe it or not, man, Speedy had this conversation with me, and he talked about, being afraid of going over to play internationally. And he was supposed to get on a flight. I believe he missed his flight, and he could tell a story better. But, you just see how some people are comfortable in their surrounding. And Speedy is a legend all over the world, and he's had success everywhere, but he never played professionally, like internationally or anything like that. But make no mistake about it, he definitely could have and would have been a great player because he could shoot it. He was a tenacious defender. He was a amazing ball handler. You know, look, he made movies, you know, above the rim. You're like, come on, man.
All right, I got another one for you.
Ooh.
Master Rob.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Talk a little bit about Rob.
I mean, I remember Rob from Posse, like when he was in his prime, man, with Maniac and High Five and the Spanish dude who probably put the bread up for the team because there was no reason he was playing, but he would get out there and get jump shots on.
That's my guy, J-Bo and G.I. Joe
Hop.
Yeah.
Yo, word up. I used to be like, yo, I know I can play. Yo, but then after a while, I started seeing at the end of the games, everybody was running to him. I said,
Yo, J-Bo definitely was putting on for the BX, man. Big shout out to all of those people on the Posse team. Bocce, I'll be right back. All those guys, man. So Rob, believe it or not, man, started off playing with Juan, OG Juan from Harlem, and the Flavor Unit. And Rob, actually, he started off before that, playing on at EBC. He was on 139th Street with D McAnum. But Rob played at the University of Louisiana with Tip Dog. Big shout out to Tip Dog and Mike Boogie over from from over there on 41st in Lenox. But yeah, man, Master Rob, I'm gonna say between him and Skip to Malou, he probably was the best passer that I've seen in street ball. Like, just eyes in the back of his head. It was two things that Rob did. He had this bank shot, and he would come up and he would like look down at the ground and he would just pull from like 22 feet and off the glass, and he would run with his head down, and he had this high handle, and he would like get into his mix-up, and it would look like you could steal it, but he just had so much ball control, and then he would throw these passes around it. He was the first one that was doing that around the neck pass. So Rob was just super entertaining. And again, man, the common theme is we keep talking about how these guys were dogs. It just seemed like everybody had that. And that's what New York City lost a little bit along the way. So that's the one thing that I would just say, man. For those of you who are watching, man, like, have your kids compete and stop giving them so much stuff and just rewarding them for not earning anything, and make them go earn it so they can understand what it's like to compete against everybody else around the country. And that, I think that's what helped us. That's what
absolutely. That gave us the edge, E, believe it or not. E, I remember when we would go out of town and all the other kids was playing, we was mad intense. What? Let's go. What? And they like, relax, homie. Nah, we not here to relax. After this game, we can relax.
But guess what, El? The New York kids try to do that now, but everybody's like, what, and what? Right? I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So when we go, see, the difference now is the kids now are still trying to do that. What? And the dudes from Memphis is like, yeah, what? Yeah, I'm from Memphis. And
I play football.
And I'm nicer than you. I know you. I seen your highlights. You're not like that. See, the thing about it was, we was tougher than them. They were scared because they thought New York was crazy. And we showed it on the court that we bust their butt. So it was like, yo, we playing New York. Oh, shoot. So we had 10 points up before we started. So we had the New York bravado. Now that don't mean as much because the New York kids is just okay. And it's 30,000 teams. So it's like everybody from New York can't be nice.
Yeah.
Because we just ran into the New York 3rd Street All-Stars, and it was a bunch of dudes that can't walk and chew gum. That's New York? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to get back to that, like, yo, man, we gotta iron sharpen iron, man. Put your kids in the lion's den and let them, spar against some wolves, man. Like, you can't just be, oh, I'm gonna just let you train over here, and nah, man. Let them compete and get their butt busted and let them see where they are, right? You don't got to be the one to tell a kid, he's this good. No, let him play against the best and let that dictate. And people going to tell you how good the kid is. The competition, and it shows, man. You know, I mean, you know, I get a little riled up when we start talking about this. Apologize, man.
It's all good.
Okay. We got anybody else on the list we need to mention, man?
I think Ali Mo, Black Widow.
Ali Mo is in consideration. When you mention him, you got to mention Shane. You got to mention, you know, you got to mention Malloy the Future. But Mo, the unique thing about Mo, there's so many people we could mention. But for the sake of the conversation, his size and ball handling ability and the unique skill set that he brought to the table made him a standout. He definitely is not close to the top 5, but he definitely was a unique talent.
Okay. Our last one, Steve Burke. What do you think of Steve Burke?
He's closer. Because, man. Well, I'm gonna let myself off the hook because Steve Burke played in the NBA.
Okay, cool. Got it.
So I don't have to do that, but big shout out to Steve Burke, man. Great work he did in the street ball circuit and in the league with the Phoenix Suns. But man, there you have it. We got our top 5, 2021. We got more topics for y'all to debate about, man. We need y'all in the comments. We need y'all to keep hitting our phone, hitting us on the email, man. We love it. We appreciate you guys. Subscribers is growing. Check us out, Spotify, YouTube, BCOM TV, Apple TV. Make sure you go subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Who you shouting out, El?
Shout out T-Mobile, Fine Food Cuisine, Montefimi, what is it, MMCC, Diallo.
Harlem Wizards.
Harlem Wizards.
Yes, sir.
And the last least, before God, I want to shout you out, doing the research and putting these shows together.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Just want to shout out Jerry Ice and D Jones. You got the last word, Al. What we going to talk about next week, man? We going to keep it going or what?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We might have to tap into what? Matter of fact, we ain't giving it up. We ain't giving it up. Yeah, yeah.